guy of anyone to put this into perspective. I mean, as far as the program goes, the impact of a victory like this, first ever ranked team, first time beating UCLA. Is there anything, anything
I like those two things right there.
Yeah.
I mean, I think,
is this the biggest win in the program history? I've already received that question a couple times.
Well, I mean, I'm not the guy to ask because I haven't been around as much as maybe some historians that have watched Cal Poly for 40 or 50 years. But you put in perspective of, I think the thing that we had to look back and note at is you have to schedule hard to have an opportunity to do this. And I think that you look back, what we established was, look, we got to go play the best teams that we can find and play nationally ranked teams with historic buildings, with historic numbers, with McDonald's All-Americans. And if we can go play those teams, we're going to lose some of those games, and we're going to learn how to win them. And I think that 3 years ago we played SC, 3 years ago we played UCLA, and then the victory at USC kind of said, you know what, we don't want to play teams, we want to beat teams. And then to come down here, I think the more important story in my mind of the team was the fact we were down 15, 16, or 17 points in the second half. Yeah. And I think that speaks the most about this program and this team right now is the character of the young man that go, hey, you know what, we're not going to hang our heads, we're not going to, sub in, come back here, make a couple shots, cut it down to 9, cut it down to 6, cut it down to 4, make the game tight, and win it at the buzzer type of deal. And you kind of always, as a coach, you get old enough, you realize, you have to be in it to win it, and you have to play it to win it. As far as the history of it, I think it's got to be there. I don't know if Cal Poly's ever beat a nationally ranked team.
No.
And so I think that helps us. I think that helps us with recruiting. It helps us with the enthusiasm. It helps us with fundraising and everything else that goes along with it.
You mentioned the second half deficit. Early in the second half, there was a timeout early. Kind of people were kind of scratching their head. I have to ask you, what was behind the timeout with 40 seconds into the second half?
We had two mistakes right off the bat. Defensively, how we were guarding the high post. We got on the wrong side of guys, and we got distorted, and they were just wide open. And we just had kind of talked about, hey, we can't get caught guarding the high post in that manner. Yeah. And then offensively, we had a breakdown of something we didn't have any emotion on the weak side, and we got the ball in, and it was just kind of the two things that we'd really come out of the half trying to work on was one thing I was sure that I was not going to go into the end of the game with all 4 timeouts. So we got to use them. We got to use them to make sure that we stop the bleeding and make sure we game plan wise that we were okay. Yeah. And maybe it caught us it caught us a little stagnant, and our guys like, okay, and I'm like, oh, but hey, look, we got to make sure we stick with it. And we changed the first half. What worked for us was that we changed 3 different defenses, and that's when we stopped them 8 or 9 times in a row. Yeah. We changed from a 1-3-1 to a matchup to a man-to-man, and so we got them standing a little bit. And we got them out of rhythm. Then when we tried to go back to that same philosophy in the second, they just moved the ball and found open guys and hit shots and did a great job. So that's when we said, okay, well, this is going to get out of hand if we just don't stop the bleeding and go solid man-to-man and try to get Kyle in there and hit some buckets and play Dylan and Kyle and see who can get hot and open the court up. We really opened it up. We went to structured offense the first half, kept it controlling, but then as they started switching screens, we had to kind of get them to be unpredictable. So we wanted Dylan to be able to move multiple directions. Instead of just on a pin down, we wanted him to refuse screens, come back out. That really screwed them up because they don't know who was going to switch or hedge and show. So that got us rhythm shots.
That Pauley lineup at the end of the game, is that the best Pauley lineup or the best for the situation of the game? I mean, could that be a new starting 5 combination for you, or is it just situational?
No idea. I mean, situational. Jamal had some early foul trouble, so I thought he lost the rhythm of the game, early on. He's done a great job. But Kyle obviously can come in and give us, instant offense off the bench. Obviously, he can come play the 1 and the 2, and I think that's a critical part for us is that, he's got that kind of chill personality that, hey, let me come in and I'm going to shoot, I'm going to make my play. So, I don't see anything dramatically changing there because he's so good at what he did there, and he's ready to go. So,
talk about that other dimension of having a guy who's really a dead-eye shooter.
Thank you.
Playing point guard for you guys during that comeback.
Well, we've been playing both Kyle and Drake as backup point guards, but having this chance where we have another shooter when you're down, you better go through ammunition.
I wrote about maturity yesterday, and this last question. Talk about your team's maturity. A team that lost so many seniors last year and early in the season now. I mean, it takes maturity to come back from an 18-point win, right?
Well, I do think you hit it right on the head. I think we have some guys that weren't freaked out. I said at the start of the year, I don't know if we're going to be 2-8 or 8-2 in our preseason, but I know that our guys are pretty mature. They're not going to freak out. They know that we're playing nationally ranked teams, and you're playing this kind of schedule with obviously, turn around playing St. Mary's, playing at UCLA, going up to University of Washington, going to Nevada. I mean, it doesn't stop. It's going to be a challenge every single night, but I think we have the confidence to believe that, hey, we can do this now, and that's the most fun.